This presentation is about doing a PhD at the Institute for Global Prosperity at University College London. My name is Dr. Christopher Harker. I am the director of the PhD program at IGP. I'm also currently director of research, and I'm an associate professor in the institute too. So, what is the Institute for Global Prosperity? What's its goal? The Institute for Global Prosperity was set up in 2015 by Professor Dame Henrietta Moore, and she wanted to ask a seemingly simple question that actually has opened up a wide variety of intellectual questions. And that's simply, what does prosperity mean for people around the world today? And her contention and our collective argument is that prosperity means a great many different things to different people in different places. And we need to move very quickly away from notions of prosperity as just material wealth to think about what people and how we can go about creating pathways to creating those forms of prosperity that people value. So the IGP was set up to undertake pioneering research that improves the quality of life for people, not just now, but for future generations, and supports their aspirations and goals. What we are very keen to do is align our intellectual knowledge production activities with collaborative work with industry, with government, with communities, and with a whole range of other stakeholders, so that we develop both policy and practice that can work effectively to change the future. And we go about doing this by integrating academic knowledge with the practices of various kinds of decision makers, civil society leaders, communities, and indeed businesses. And we think this really sets us apart from a number of other academic departments in universities today. So, what characterizes a PhD at the Institute for Global Prosperity? Like the Institute more generally, PhD research projects have a strong focus on interdisciplinary research that works towards advancing global prosperity. This means working with a whole series of communities, both what we think of as local communities, politicians and policymakers, businesses, third sector organizations, and academic colleagues from across the world to find ways of addressing, through understanding, the global challenges we face today. If you think that you're interested in our program, you will be able to leverage our extensive networks of existing contacts, particularly if you're working in our key sites of East London, Kenya, and Lebanon. And as I'll say a bit more about later, you have access to a whole range of resources and networks through the Bartlett faculty for the built environment and the University College more generally. So, what sort of research happens at IGP? We have an amazing range of projects currently being undertaken, even though our PhD cohort is relatively small. It's around about 15 students. We have people examining children's environmental education and how we can use digital tools to enhance their ecological knowledge and practices. We have students looking at disaster risk management and mitigation and how communities can improve forms of resilience in the face of disasters. We have students looking at how stakeholders in businesses and companies can leverage their ownership or their impact on those businesses to drive them towards more ethical practices that are aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals. And we have students looking at how refugees in the communities in which they live manage life, labour and work in order to improvise forms of governance and make a living amidst contexts of mass displacement. Our PhD students are not only working at the cutting edge of academic knowledge creation in their various disciplines or working at the interstices of various disciplines, but they're also creating forms of social impact in the world. So, for instance, this summer, one of our students contributed to the Just Environmental Law podcast, while another student working on playground construction in Kenya created a YouTube video that went viral. We have students presenting at various academic conferences across the world. So what makes this subject, this PhD program in global prosperity, distinctive? Firstly, all of our work, including our PhD research, is problem-focused and future-orientated. So we are interested in key questions and problems, understanding them and solving them in a way that works towards a better future. We are transdisciplinary in nature and approach. And while PhD students may draw heavily on one particular discipline or another, they are encouraged and indeed do work across disciplines and even across the sciences, the social sciences, and the arts and humanities. And as a cohort, as a cohort of PhD students, we have a very interdisciplinary nature and a series of discussions. We are committed to research that is explicitly inclusive, ethical, and just, and we make no bones about the importance of these criteria for all the research that goes on within the Institute. And we value many different forms of knowledge, from the books that you'll find in the library at UCL to the perspectives of citizens who are embedded in communities, and of course the insights that decision makers and businesses bring based on their work. So what will your PhD program and course of study look like at IGP? All PhD students at IGP complete the 4 core courses from our MSc in Global Prosperity. This includes 2 courses designed to ground you in the conceptual concerns of the Institute, called Pathways to Prosperity 1 and Pathways to Prosperity 2. You'll also complete the 2 methods courses, Research Methods 1 and Research Methods 2, to give you a full and broad understanding of various research methods that you can utilize to undertake your own research. These courses will be augmented by taking other modules from across the UCL. And as a PhD student, you can take any module that UCL offers, and a program of research skills training that is offered only to PhD students. By the end of your first year, if you're a full-time student, and a bit later if you're a part-time student, you'll write an upgrade report, which is a 10,000 word summary or research proposal that sets the stage for your thesis research. Often then you will go and conduct that research, although many students are undertaking ongoing forms of research and engagement with the communities that they work with. And then you will write a thesis, which, according to the UCL regulations, can be up to 100,000 words. At IGP, we also expect our PhD students to develop forms of impact through their PhD research. So that is to say that we expect a PhD student to produce a thesis, but also to change the world in some sort of way. And this might be a small change, but it will also be a very meaningful change. So we have students developing apps to help cities with environmental governance. And we have other students writing policy interventions to try and drive forms of institutional change. As a student IGP, you'll also be part of a much broader community at both faculty and college level. So you'll be able to attend a wide range of seminars, events, and activities across what is a very large university. I mentioned briefly that there's a dedicated skills training program provided by the UCL Doctoral School, and this is augmented by specific events organized within the faculty for the built environment that houses IGP. The faculty also support PhD students to attend conferences and in their network building activities during their degree. In short, at UCL, you'll be part of a world-leading research community that truly has impact across the planet. You'll be part of a very diverse community. UCL has students from over 150 countries, and our own PhD program has an incredibly diverse range of students for such a small program. You'll have access to a wide variety of social activities and entertainments provided by UCL's student union and the clubs and societies that they organize. And you will live in London, one of the world's global cities, with all of the things that London has to offer. So finally, what are we looking for in a PhD student? I think a close fit to our approach and perspective is vital. And in particular, you need a project that can be supervised by one of our PhD supervisors. So please look closely at the staff's interests, and particularly the staff who can supervise PhD projects. And a project that aligns well with those interests will definitely be one that we read very closely. Your research should also tie very closely to our research themes. That is, research that examines how people make a living and create sustainable lives and livelihoods. Our second theme, the change that needs to happen, focuses on forms of institutional practice and how we can transform them to create better quality of life for people around the world. And our final theme, Making the Future, is about forms of technological and social innovation that are also going to be key ways in which we transform the future. For further details, please see our website. I'm sure you've probably found it already, but if somehow you're watching this video and you haven't, perhaps the easiest thing to do is just search on the internet for IGP PhD. The web address is there if you want to copy it down. And finally, as the director of the program, I'm very happy to answer any questions. And I would encourage you to get in contact with me before you submit your application so that we can discuss your potential project and its fit within the Institute. I very much look forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much.